in the past. They played video clips of, Sean Combs being asked in prior interviews in the 90s and 2000s, do you know, who killed these men? Did you have any involvement? He's always denied it.
50 Cent has reportedly revealed a shocking new claim, saying he possesses additional footage that could link Diddy to Tupac Shakur's killing. The situation is now escalating rapidly. Diddy is said to be rushing to manage the fallout, working closely with his lawyers and issuing cease and desist notices to Netflix in an effort to stop 50's controversial documentary series. Meanwhile, rumors are circulating that 50 is now.
This is what Diddy doing, y'all. All right, the diddler has sent 50 Cent some damn flowers while he locked up, bro. All right, we all know Diddy is mad about this whole docu-series that 50 put out on Netflix and is #1 going crazy, so you know he mad. Now, according to 50, all right, these are some warning flowers. Y'all know how Diddy used to get down. You know, he used to send people shit in the mail. He'll send a nigga to blow up a car. Y'all know how he get down. So if he mad, clearly he's mad about this documentary. Bro sent 50 some flowers at his hotel while he was in Miami, bro. Now, I ain't gonna show the address on these flowers, but 50 posted the whole address. Now, in the caption, 50 said, "What kind of gay shit is this? Diddy send me flowers at Club 11, LOL. LOL, why all the foreplay? Get busy, you know I'm stupid." Then he commented again and said, "A warning, I'm 90s grimy. You don't warn me, LOL." So y'all know why Diddy sent this. He ain't send it because he happy or proud of 50 for dropping this goddamn docuseries on.
Netflix has officially premiered 50 Cent's documentary Sean Combs, The Reckoning. Released on December 9 after nearly 2 years of investigation, the project spans 4 intense episodes. The series portrays Diddy in a way audiences haven't witnessed before. The documentary lays out the alleged events in a detailed, step-by-step format, backed by eyewitness testimony, former associates, industry figures, and previously unreleased footage. For years, these claims circulated as rumors. Now, attorneys representing Sean Diddy Combs are reportedly attempting to block the release of the Netflix documentary series scheduled to debut today.
For Sean Diddy Combs trying to stop the release of a Netflix docu-series due out today. The series contains never-before-seen footage of Combs debating strategy with his lawyers in the days leading up to his arrest in New York last year. It also includes video of Combs greeting fans in Harlem.
Oh, fuck that, bro. Lord, you win. I'm gonna win. Lord, you win. We win it. I'll accept it.
And then saying this about the interaction moments later.
I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on. I got. I've been out in the streets amongst the people. Yeah, I gotta take a bath. Like the amount of people that actually I'm coming in contact with, like that's what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? Oh. It's like 150 hugs.
Now, Combs' lawyers are demanding Netflix pull the series, threatening legal action, claiming Netflix is using stolen footage that was never authorized for release as part of what they call a shameful hit piece. The series is executive produced by Combs' longtime rival, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, and director Alex Stapleton, who said, quote, "We obtained the footage legally and have the necessary rights," end quote. Before the cease and desist demand was sent yesterday, Stapleton and Jackson sat down with our Robin Roberts to discuss the series.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
It's not personal.
The show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. Not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a.
The series reportedly features private recordings that appear to show Diddy coordinating with attorneys to keep witnesses quiet, along with interviews in which people allege he offered payments in exchange for their silence. What's most startling is that this isn't just filler content. It's material Diddy is said to have gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Information he allegedly thought would remain buried is now being brought into the public eye. Adding to the intensity, 50 Cent isn't finished yet. In a recent interview released only hours ago, he confirmed there is still more footage and hinted that another wave is on the way.
Start at the top with the hotel video, which I did a double take because I thought, wait a minute, isn't this 50's documentary? What is he doing with video from inside Diddy's hotel room, which clearly looks to be sanctioned by Diddy? It almost looks like Diddy was shooting a documentary. He thought this whole thing might go away and just wanted to have some really good content for afterwards. How the hell did this video get in the hands of 50 Cent, the arch nemesis of Diddy?
Well, I think it was delivered legally, supposedly what they're saying. I think what happened was that when he did this video in the hotel, he was probably probably thinking that he was going to probably be acquitted and he was going to probably get out and he could probably run back his last days that before he got arrested so he can use that for some footage later on. But it sort of backfired on him because now I don't think he wanted it to get out. And plus, he's in an appeal process right now where he's trying to get out from under this. He's still appealing his case, and this sort of brings back old memories, you know?
Let me ask you this, Derek. Somebody real close to Diddy was holding that camera because Diddy didn't have people in his inner circle, in his hotel room, saying things like this unless they were close to him. And yet, whoever owns that copyright, whoever had their hands on that video, did him dirty, you know, and gave it to his enemy. Why and how do you think that happened?
Well, I think the person that probably did the video footage wanted to get some recognition for having that type of footage. And I think, I don't know if they signed a no-compete clause or an NDA, but that person turned that over apparently, and it went to 50 for the documentary.
He also hinted that upcoming releases will center on serious allegations involving suspicious ties and potential misuse of influence, presented carefully to avoid legal issues, but still enough to spark major concern throughout the industry. Since these claims began circulating, there has been a noticeable silence around Diddy within the music world. Former associates, longtime insiders, and even close friends have started to distance themselves. References have resurfaced to the Quad Studios shooting and the broader East Coast-West Coast rivalry. Some sources allege that Diddy was consistently operating behind the scenes, shaping events. Both Tupac and Biggie were said to have had doubts at the time, and those questions have never fully disappeared. The documentary suggests that once Diddy could no longer maintain division between Tupac and Biggie through standard industry dynamics, the situation allegedly intensified. According to the series, the conflict stopped being organic and was instead being driven. This shift is believed to have contributed directly to the turmoil of late 1994. On November 30, 1994, Tupac was shot in the lobby of Quad Recording Studios in Manhattan while arriving for a late-night session. Authorities officially labeled it a robbery, but many doubted that explanation, especially since none of Tupac's jewelry was taken.
About 50 Cent's Netflix Diddy documentary is how he built a timeline off of this information. And one of my favorite parts of this documentary is them really getting into the timeline of events when it comes to Tupac and Biggie. And it really gives us a lot of perspective from people that were close to the situation. And a lot of people allege in this documentary that they believe that Diddy was very jealous of Tupac. And they pretty much go through everything from the Quad incident and Tupac believing that Puffy was behind it, like he said in the Vibe interview, and they lay out this whole timeline of the downfall happening perfectly, in my opinion. We are even hearing from Greg Kading, the detective that worked on Tupac and Biggie's case in this documentary. He is the investigator that did that proffer agreement with Keefe D way back in 2008, where Keefe D alleged that Diddy tried to offer him $1 million to take out Tupac and Suge Knight. And Tupac's trial with Keefe D is coming up very soon in early 2026. And we know that Diddy's name has been dropped at least 200 times during these proceedings already. So this is one case that I am definitely waiting for and I am going to cover. In Keefe D's 2008 proffer agreement, he alleged that Diddy's friend Zip Martin is the one that gave him the weapon that was used to take out Tupac. And Keefe D told the investigator Greg Kading that Zip Martin had a special compartment to keep this weapon in his car that he drove to Las Vegas. And in this documentary, we have Greg Kading confirming that Zip Martin did drive the same type of vehicle that Keefe D alleged to Las Vegas this night. And then during this documentary, we heard from the former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burroughs, who alleged during this time, Diddy had him hiring a whole bunch of people and getting cars to drive to Las Vegas. And he is now very curious into why Diddy wanted to do this. And he said in his opinion, he now believes that Diddy was behind.
He went on to say that, in his view, Diddy may have been involved, suggesting that jealousy, control, and subtle manipulation all played a role, with Diddy allegedly shaping events that eventually led to deadly outcomes. Following Tupac's death, Diddy's career is said to have surged quickly. Some insiders have claimed that he may have gained more than anyone else from what occurred.
They stem from wanting to be him, idolize him off, he idolized Tupac because you got to realize when a woman looked at Tupac, they probably wanted him. Puff wasn't getting that type of fever from girls. You understand what I'm saying? Puff had to use his money. Puff had to use his position in order to get women. Now, I seen him with some bad joints. And I used to look at them like this, like, not on no hating shit, but like, you wouldn't be here if he wasn't puffed. If this nigga had no money, you would not be coming out of his room like that. And that's for real, for real. You understand? I'll be like, yo, when I had to, because most of the time, I would walk some of them to the door, walk them to get their calves or whatever like that. Or, take them down the swing, get their calves and everything like that. Now you be like, I'd be laughing. I just kept a smile on my face when it came to that shit. Because I know for a fact, because he said it himself. He said, I don't know how to talk to women. I don't know how to talk to girls. You understand? I said, you don't have to know how to talk to nobody. You're a millionaire. You got it. So he was jealous of Pac because Pac ain't had to do that. Pac had that aura, you know what I'm saying? And he probably knew how to communicate with women. And most women who he talked to that said stuff.
Several sources within the industry say that the dynamic between Diddy and Biggie had already begun to change. Biggie was building genuine power, growing influence, and a stronger sense of independence. According to past reports,
in the past, they played video clips of, Sean Combs being asked in prior interviews in the 90s and 2000s, do you know who these men? Did you have any involvement? He's always denied it, to be clear. These are just allegations. But yeah, that was really, really shocking. And one of the sort of a little bit more of the backstory behind his alleged involvement with Tupac was that a lot of the interviewees in the documentary were saying that Biggie, who was signed with Bad Boy and who was really close with Diddy at the time, was starting to form a friendship with Tupac, and they were getting really close. And a lot of the interviewees were saying, in their view, Diddy didn't really appreciate that. So I think that a lot of the themes that you see again is coming up as him sort of wanting and needing to be the number one person in people's lives, whether it was personal, business. And it's really interesting because you see a lot of the themes that, again, the prosecution was trying to push forward that we saw in his personal life with Cassandra Ventura, always needing to be number one, not necessarily regarding the damages he's doing to other people in the prosecution's eyes, right? Playing out in the business sense. So the backstory is that he didn't appreciate the friendship that was forming between Biggie and Tupac, and therefore, that's where his alleged involvement came in. And then when, in terms of the non-payment, I think that was also a really shocking moment as well, because that's something we saw happening over and over in the documentary. Multiple people who were saying, I was cheated out of my share in the company. I wasn't paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. And allegedly, that's sort of how he treated the artists that were on his label. So again, it's the theme of always wanting to be number one and, not necessarily giving people their due. Business sense.
As tensions between the East Coast and West Coast hit their height, Biggie reportedly began receiving threats and felt that danger was closing in. What he may not have fully understood, according to those close to the situation, was the possible source of that threat. The documentary claims that after Tupac's death, Diddy urged Biggie to go to Los Angeles, even though he had originally planned to travel to London. Sources say Biggie had his doubts and concerns at the time, questioning how real the danger was as a high-profile rapper and whether people were truly coming after him.
How much are you exaggerating? But you now as a rapper, when people coming to get you.
I ain't exaggerating at all, man. That's real, son. That's real, yo. I ain't exaggerating at all, man. The more money you make, the more problems you get. And jealousy and envy is something that comes with the territory, man. A lot of people, it's just negative energy, like my man Puff say. It just surrounds you. It makes you depressed, So I gotta rap about it. And that's one of the bad things about the game is when you get large, even your friends will turn against you, man. So I made a song about it.
But how real is your threat of people constantly coming and wanting to shoot you?
Man, that's real. I think about that every day. Every day it's real. That's how real it is. I think somebody's trying to waking up paranoid. I'll be really scared. I'll just be paro. That's just the way I am. You seeing me?
Interview that Puffy did with Fat Joe where he was talking about Biggie in his last moments in LA, and he told Fat Joe that he didn't want to go to LA. He actually wanted to go to London But Biggie, he was the one that wanted to go to LA, and he was the one that was pushing to go to LA.
That's not true. My name is Kirk Burrows. I ran Bad Boy Entertainment. I helped co-found it. I created the company with him. I raised from general manager to president. And at that time, I put all of those business plans together. And Biggie didn't want to go to LA, ended up going. What got him out there was a week ahead of time to ease him into the whole award show. He may not have wanted to go to London, but was talked into it. First time ever a rapper of your stature getting this treatment. That would be something he would be interested in doing, but he was easily talked out of it by Sean so that they can make an appearance at an event in LA that Saturday night. A part of the posturing of not only did we come to the award show, not only am I recording my album out here, and Big is gonna help me with some of the writing and maybe do something out here where me and him did this song in LA. I'm out on the town. And it was just too.
Kirk Burrows, a co-founder of Bad Boy Records, is referenced in the documentary as highlighting how rapidly Diddy's influence grew following Biggie's death.
Let me ask you this. I get it. When you have a case that's 5 years old, it's hard to get overwhelming evidence that meets the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. When you have cases this old, no matter what Fiddy has found out and put in this documentary, do you see it at all ever possible that Diddy could be involved in a murder trial when it comes to Biggie and Tupac?
It could be possible, yes. However, like I said, they need a lot of corroboration to make that stick because it's really alleged right now as to his involvement. It's not anything that's substantial or concrete that he was involved. It's personally from people talking about it and saying this is what happened. You need some more information to come
According
forward.
to investigators cited in the series, some of the material presented has never been made public before and could prompt renewed scrutiny of Diddy's alleged involvement, especially if witnesses choose to come forward. The documentary also spotlights Keefe D, a former Compton gang member who has openly discussed Tupac's 1996 killing. He is portrayed as a central figure whose account could offer deeper insight into.
That Sean Combs and his team are not happy about this, okay? Which now we go back to the C&D letter, the cease and desist letter that Combs' lawyers sent to Netflix's chief legal officer. That's what I want to focus on now. Okay, so according to attorney Michael Tremonti, they had already sent a cease and desist letter to the streaming service in July of 2024. This is before Combs was even indicted. But now they send this new letter on December 1st, the day before the documentary was set to be released, and essentially calling it a hit piece. Quote, "First, Netflix's promotion of the program as a documentary is fundamentally misleading. In truth, the program is a hit piece. It was conceived and produced by Curtis James Jackson, aka 50 Cent, whose irrational fixation on destroying Mr. Combs' reputation is a matter of public record. The evidence of Mr. Jackson's vicious animus against Mr. Combs is overwhelming. He has been trolling Mr. Combs on the internet and social media for years and has made a career of attempting to defame, belittle, and provoke Mr. Combs and turn the public against him. We provided ample evidence of Mr. Jackson's avowed hatred of Mr. Combs in our prior cease and desist letter dated July 3rd, 2024, and since that time, Mr. Jackson's determination to take down Mr. Combs has increased dramatically. Simply put, there is no one less able to view any aspect of Mr. Combs' life and legacy through a fair and objective lens. Given Mr. Jackson's central role in the project and his declared objective of disgracing Mr. Combs, Netflix cannot honestly market the program as a documentary, as that term falsely suggests it is based on facts. Instead, the program is based on fabrications born from Mr. Jackson's personal vendetta against Mr. Combs. For this reason alone, Netflix must withdraw the program. Now, to be clear, recently, 50 Cent, who's been doing a media tour for this, has said, I don't have any hatred against Sean Combs. I've actually worked with and employed his sons. And so he tried to beat back against that narrative. Now, according to Tremonti, Netflix had actually been in talks with Combs to make a show about him before the sudden cratering of his career. Quote, in or about 2023, CEO Ted Sarandos proposed that Netflix produce a documentary about Mr. Combs. However, Mr. Combs rejected the proposal when Mr. Sarandos insisted he give up creative control. Thus, the choice of Mr. Jackson to produce the program was Netflix's vindictive response to that rejection, an attempt by Netflix and Mr. Sarandos to ensure a one-sided character assassination rather than a balanced and
Sarandos is being referenced as being urged to ensure the project doesn't come across as a one-sided portrayal, while pressure is clearly continuing to mount. The series claims that Diddy is aware this renewed attention could have serious implications for his legal position, which is why he is allegedly attempting to stop its release. Netflix is reportedly facing multiple cease and desist demands, with arguments that the documentary is defamatory and could interfere with ongoing matters. However, some observers interpret this differently, suggesting it may not reflect confidence but concern. At this point, the central question being raised is less about whether the documentary oversteps a boundary and more about the broader implications it may have.
Your boss, yo, man, yo, how 50 get, blah, 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 yo, Puff, take this self doing that. Let me explain something to y'all. All right, whether it's NDAs, whether it's whatever. When these young boys come in, first of all, he only deal with young videographers because he want to rob them, and he know that they want the opportunity to follow Puff Daddy, P. Diddy. They want that opportunity. So they get him at a low price anyway. But when you stay out so many hours a day, Puff wants a videographer with him 24 hours a day on call. Whether we on a yacht, whether we on a ship, wherever we at, he wants to videotape that, right? So now, they come to agreement. They come to whatever the pay is going to be. But then it be so many hours on that invoice that he don't want to pay. He gets in touch with the office. He gets in touch with the chief of staff. Yo, what is this I'm paying? What is this I'm paying? You know what you paying. You was outside all of these hours. It's 160 something hours in a week. You was outside 140. That's the invoice he put in. So now, being if you got a contract and he don't stand to that contract, guess what happens? He could do whatever he want to do with that footage. So now that footage goes to the highest bidder. And 50 had to be the highest bidder to get there. Yo, this is business. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't in love with you. Everybody ain't dedicated. Everybody ain't loyal to
The industry that once backed Diddy now appears more uneasy, cautious, and less willing to comment openly. And that silence is being interpreted by some as more telling than any direct denial. For years, these narratives were largely dismissed as conspiracy theories. However, the same allegations are now being revisited with specific names, timelines, and patterns of behavior that some find harder to overlook. The documentary doesn't instruct viewers on what to think. Instead, it lays out the information and leaves interpretation up to the audience. What is clear, according to this perspective, is that the situation has entered a new and more intense phase of public attention.
Over Mark Agnifilo. I gotta say, this is awful that Diddy owes his life to Mark Agnifilo, literally his life, because he could have gotten life in prison were it not for Mark Agnifilo, his defense lawyer, who had a brilliant strategy. And Diddy screwed him over when he hired this videographer to chronicle his life without telling Mark Agnifilo that when Diddy and Mark were on the phone, this videographer was recording what Mark clearly expected to be an attorney-client privileged relationship. Now, it is true that the client holds that privilege, the lawyer doesn't. But Mark's clear expectation was that this was a private conversation. These were private conversations, and that he and Diddy could talk openly. And Mark could talk to Diddy not just as a client, but as a person, and try to guide him in a time leading up to his arrest. And unbeknownst to Mark Agnifilo, Diddy has got this guy recording the conversation as he's sitting there saying, "You are screwing this up. You are messing up this case. We're losing." And knowing that that's on tape. And it's almost like he's performing for the camera and not telling Mark what's going on. And the really enraging part about it is that Mark Agnifilo won this case for Diddy with legal strategy. It wasn't just an accident that this jury that had heard all of this in the news before the trial voted not guilty on all the serious charges. It was Mark Agnifilo that did that. Yet Diddy secretly records this guy and embarrasses him. And yeah, you could say, well, Diddy never expected that it would end up being broadcast somewhere else. Well, okay, but Diddy was planning on using it, or he wouldn't have had it recorded in the first place. So it's just really, really unfair. And I know that in a way this sounds crazy, that I'm getting so upset about Diddy, and yet there's video of Diddy being Cassie. Well, that's horrendous.
Diddy's legal team may keep issuing cease and desist letters, but the internet tends not to forget. Once questions are out in the open, they rarely fade away, and attempts to suppress discussion can sometimes lead to even more scrutiny. At this point, however, the situation appears to be shifting in a new direction.